Hey guys, welcome to another Bible reading with me. We're gonna be reading in the N NIV version of my Bible, but most Bibles translate. Sorry, um, like King James, I know is like really old and it doesn't translate too well into the new versions, but it's alright. But we're going to be reading Genesis chapter 40, and I think I'm going to go to 42. So let's just jump into it today. Hey, chapter 40 of Genesis, the cupbearer and the baker. Sometime later, the cupbearer and the baker of king of Egypt offended their master. Don't offend master. This is like trying to offend your manager at work. The king of their master, the king of Egypt. Even worse. The pharaoh was angry with the two officials, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker, and put them in custody in the house of captain of the guard. In the same prison where Joseph was confined, the captain of the guard assigned them to Joseph, and he attended them. Alright, so Joseph gained a little power. Woo! After they had been in custody for some time, each of the two men, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were being held in prison, had a dream the same night, and each dream had a meaning of its own. When Joseph came to them the next morning, he saw that they were dejected. So he asked the Pharaoh's officials who were in custody with him in his master's house, "Why do you look so sad today?" "We both had dreams," they answered, "but there is no one to interpret them." And then Joseph said to them, "Do not um do not interpretations belong to God?" Oh, okay. So basically, he's just saying, sorry, my speech, but what he's saying in the Bible is like, should God be the only one that interprets your, dreams, not, like a prophet or someone. And he says, "Tell me your dreams." So the chief cupbearer told Joseph his dream. He said to them, "In my dream I saw a vine in front of me, and on the vine were 3 branches. As soon as it budded, it blossomed, and the clusters ripened to grapes." Sounds like a pretty good dream to me. um, the Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, squeezed them into the Pharaoh's cup, and put the cup in his hand. "This is what it means," Joseph said to him. "The 3 branches are 3 days. Within 3 days the Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your position, and you will put Pharaoh's cup in his hand, just as you used to do when you were his cupbearer. But when all goes well with you, remember me and show me kindness. Mention me to the Pharaoh and get me out of this prison. I was forcibly carried off from the land of the Hebrews, and even here I have done nothing to deserve being put in a dungeon." Poor Joseph. Can't catch a break. When the chief baker saw that Joseph had given favorable interpretation, he said to Joseph, "I too had a dream." I'm so sorry for my speech, guys. Like, some words I try my best. Like, just to let you know, even with, like, the family names, I was trying to pronounce them as best as I can. I just suck at it. I'm sorry. I can't help it. So he said, "I too had a dream. On my head were 3 baskets of bread. In the top basket were all kinds of baked goods for the Pharaoh, but the birds were eating them out of the basket on my head." You would think if you had bread, you wouldn't go outside with it. But okay. "This is what it means," Joseph said. 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift off your head and impale your body on a pole, and the birds will eat away your flesh. Oh, that's nice. Now 3 days, the Pharaoh's birthday, he gave a feast for all his officials. He lifted up the heads of chief cupbearer and the chief baker in the presence of his officials. Okay. He restored the chief cupbearer to his position so that he once again put the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he impelled the chief baker just as Joseph had said to them in the interpretation. The chief cupbearer, however, did not remember Joseph. He forgot him. Aw, poor Joseph. I would have been mad, but hey, it's Joseph. He knows he's a prophet. He knows he's for God, He just has to wait it out. Alright, chapter 41. Pharaoh's dreams. When 2 full years had passed, the Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing by the Nile, when out of the river there came up 7 cows, sleek and fat, and they grazed among the reeds. After them 7 other cows, ugly and gaunt, gaunt, came out of the Nile and stood beside those on the riverbank. And the cows that were ugly and gaunt ate up the 7 sleek, fat cows. Then the Pharaoh woke up. That's a pretty weird dream. You just like, oh hey, these cows are here, and then you just see other cows come from the riverbank and eat the other cows. You're just like, whoa, that's a pretty freaky dream. In the morning his mind was troubled, so he sent for all his magicians and wise men of Egypt. The Pharaoh told them in his dream, but no one could interpret them for him. Ooh. Then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, "Today I am reminded of my shortcomings." The Pharaoh was once angry with his servants, and he imprisoned me and the chief baker in the house of the captain of the guard. Each of us had a dream the same night, and each dream had a meaning of its own. Now a young Hebrew was there with us, a servant of the captain of the guard. We told him our dreams, and he interpreted them for us, giving each man the interpretation of his dream. And the things turned out exactly as he interpreted them to us. I was restored to my position, and the other man was impelled. So the Pharaoh sent for Joseph. He was quickly brought from the dungeon. When he had shaved and changed his clothes, he came before the Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I had a dream." Didn't someone else have a dream like that? Oh, Martin Luther King, I had a dream. And no one can interpret it, but I have heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. I cannot do it, Joseph replied to the Pharaoh, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires. Then the Pharaoh said to Joseph, "In my dream, I was standing on the bank of the Nile, when out of the river there came up 7 cows, fat and sleek, and they grazed among the reeds. After them 7 other cows came up, scrawny and very ugly and lean. I had never seen such ugly cows in all the land of Egypt. The lean, ugly cows ate up the 7 fat cows that came up first. But even after they ate them, no one could tell that they had done so. They looked just as ugly as before. Then I woke up. In my dream I saw 7 heads of grain, full and good, growing on a single stalk. After them 7 other heads sprouted, weathered and thin and scorched by the east wind." Oh man. I'd be a little scared. Then the thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 good heads. I told this to the magicians, but none of them could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to the Pharaoh, "The dreams of the Pharaoh are one and the same. God has revealed to the Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and 7 good heads of grain are 7 years. It is one of the same dream. 7 lean, ugly cows that came up after it are 7 years, and are the 7 worthless heads of grain scorched by the east wind. They are 7 years of famine. It is just as I said to the Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 years of great abundance are coming throughout the land of Egypt, but the 7 years of famine will follow. Then all the abundance in Egypt will be forgotten, and the famine will ravage the land. The abundance in the land will not be remembered, because the famine that follows it will be so severe. The reason the dream was given to the Pharaoh in two forms is that the matter has been firmly decided by God, and God will do it soon. And now let the Pharaoh look for a discerning and wise man and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh appoint commissioners over the land to take a fifth of the harvest of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance. They should collect all the food of these good years that are coming and store them up in grain under the authority of the Pharaoh to be kept in the cities for food. This food should be held in reserve for the country, to be used during the 7 years of famine that will come upon Egypt, so that the country may not be ruined by the famine. The plan seemed good to the Pharaoh and all his officials. So the Pharaoh asked them, "Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom the Spirit of God?" Then the Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has made all this known to you, there is no one so discerning and wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you." Bam. So Joseph went from being in prison, now he's back all the way in power now. Well, a little bit under the king, but still high up in power, and saving the king of Egypt from, losing all power and losing all his people. Okay, Joseph in charge of Egypt now. So the Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt." Then the Pharaoh took his signet ring from his finger and put it on Joseph's finger. He dressed him in robes of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. Decking out Joseph now. He had him ride in a chariot as his second in command, and people shouted before him, "Make way!" Thus he put him in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Then the Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I am the Pharaoh, but without your word no one will lift a hand or foot in all Egypt." Pharaoh gave Joseph the name Zabanaphani, and gave him the Zinath, daughter of Protiphi, the priest of On, to be his wife. Sorry for butchering these names. I try my best, guys. If I fail it, I'm sorry. And Joseph went throughout the land of Egypt. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the Pharaoh's presence and traveled throughout Egypt. During 7 years of abundance, the land produced plentiful. Joseph collected all the food produced in those 7 years of abundance in Egypt and stored it in the cities. In each city he put the food grown in the fields surrounding it. Joseph stored up huge quantities of grain like the sand of sea. It was so much that he stopped keeping records because it was beyond measure. Before the years of famine came, 2 sons were born to Joseph by Azarnath's daughter of Potiphera, the priest of On. Joseph named his firstborn Manazith, and said, "It is because the God has made me forget all my troubles and all my father's household." The second son he named Uriam, and said, "It is because God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering." The 7 years of abundance in Egypt came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began. Just as Joseph had said, there was famine in all the other lands, but in the whole land of Egypt there was food. When all Egypt began to feel the famine, the people cried to Pharaoh for food. And the Pharaoh told all Egyptians, "Go to Joseph and do what he tells you." When the famine had spread over the whole country, Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold grain to the Egyptians, for the famine was severe throughout Egypt. All the world came to Egypt to buy grain from Joseph, because the famine was severe everywhere. Whoa, the whole world was in trouble. That's a problem. When other countries have to come and buy your grain because they're in trouble. Okay, chapter 42. Joseph's brothers go to Egypt. Dun dun dun. When Jacob learned that there was a grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, "Why do you just keep looking at each other?" He continued, "I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us, so that we may live and not die." Then 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain from Egypt, but Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's brother, with the others, because he was afraid that harm might come to him. So the Israel's sons were among those who went to buy grain, for there was famine in the land of Canaan also. Now Joseph was the governor of the land, the person who sold grain to all his people. So when Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed down to him with their faces to the ground. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he pretended to be a stranger and spoke harshly to them. "Where do you come from?" he asked. "From the land of Canaan." I want to say it's Canaan. Is it Canaan or Canaan? Please, someone, leave a comment and tell me. I know I'm killing these names. They replied to buy food. Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they did not recognize him. Then he remembered his dreams about them and said to them, "You are spies. You come to see where our land is unprotected." "No, my lord," they answered. "Your servants have come to buy food. We are all the sons of one man. Your servants are honest men, not spies." "No," he said to them, "you have come to see where our land is unprotected." But they replied, "Your servants were 12 brothers, the son of one man, who lives in the land of Canaan." I'd say Canaan. Canaan just sounds better. "Canaan, the youngest, is now with our father, and the one is no more." And Joseph said to them, "It is just as I told you. You are spies, and this is how you will be tested. As surely as Pharaoh lives, you will not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of your numbered to get your brother. The rest of you will be kept in prison, so that your words may be tested to see if you are telling the truth. If you are not, then as surely as the Pharaoh lives, you are spies." And he put them all in custody for 3 days. On the third day, Joseph said to them, "Do this, and you will live, for I fear God. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers stay here in prison, while the rest of you go and take the grain back for your starving households. But you must bring your youngest brother to me, so that your words may be verified, that you may not die." This they proceeded to do. Whoa, Joseph being a little cruel. Be like, "Hey, I'll give you food if you bring your little brother, because I want to see him, because, he's my brother." They said to one another, "Surely we are being punished because of our brother. We saw how distressed he was when he pleaded with us for his life, but we would not listen. That is why his distress has come on us." Reuben replied, "I did not tell you not to sin against the boy, but you wouldn't listen. Now we must give an accounting for his blood." They did not realize that Joseph could understand, since he was using an interpreter. Why would Joseph need it? Well, for different countries. He turned away from them and began to weep, but then he came back and spoke to them again. He had Simon taken from them and bound before their eyes. Joseph gave the order to fill their bags with grain, to put each man's silver back in his sack, and gave them provisions for their journey. After this was done for them, they loaded their grain on the donkey and left. At the place where they stopped for the night, one of them opened his sack to get feed for his donkey and saw his silver in his mouth of the sack. "My silver has been returned," he said to his brothers. "Here it is in my sack." Their hearts sank, and they turned to each other trembling and said, "What is this that God has done to us?" When they came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him all that had happened. They said, "The man who is lord over land spoke harshly to us and treated us as though we were spying on the land." But we said to him, "We are honest men. We are not spies. We are 12 brothers, sons of one father. One is no more, and the youngest is now with our father in Canaan." Then the man who is lord over land said to us, "This is how I will know whether you are the honest men. I leave one of your brothers here with me, and take the food for your starving households and go. But you bring your youngest brother to me, so I will know you are not spies but honest men. Then I will give your brother back to you, and you can trade in the land." It sounds like an easy deal. It just sounds like Joseph being a little bit rude, but he just wants to know he has a little brother. As they were entering their sacks, there in each man's sack was his pouch of silver. When they and their father saw the money pouches, they were frightened. Their father Jacob said to them, "You have deprived me of my children. Joseph is no more, and Simon is no more. Now you want to take Benjamin. Everything is against me." Then Reuben said to his father, "You put both my sons to death. If I do not bring him back to you and trust him to my care, and I will bring him back." But Jacob said, "My son will not go down there with you. His brother is dead, and he is the only one left. If harm comes to him on the journey you're taking, you will bring my gray head down to the grave in sorrow." Oh, poor Jacob. He's like, "I don't want to use my youngest. I already lost my oldest." But he doesn't know that his oldest is in the land of Egypt, being the governor. Boom, boom, boom. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope that was inspiring a little bit. Hopefully we can finish Jacob's and Joseph's story and see what happens to Benjamin, you know? Well, just thank you for watching, guys. Please leave a like and help me with the words. Leave some comments. Be like, "Hey, Greg, this is how you pronounce it," okay? And just thanks for watching, guys. And leave a like. Bye.